Welcome, everyone. I am Chris Gore. It's a Wednesday. That's right. It's time for Hollywood on the Rocks. Critics Court Star Wars on Trial is in recess because of the 4th of July holiday. So we're going to be talking movies. Back to the basics here. We're talking the new Mission Impossible. We'll talk about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is become box office poison. Who would have thought that would happen? And Sound of Freedom, the Jim Caviezel movie, was the #1 movie at the box office on the 4th of July. I have the numbers. I'm going to go through it. Incredible stuff to talk about. And Alan's going to be here. He actually is going to. Alan is waiting in the wings. Where is Alan now? Let's get this thing started. Hollywood on the Rocks on a Wednesday is back. And Alan is
Alan.
No, where Alan is no. Okay, wait a second. No. Wait, what? Come, Alan, come on, man. Hey.
I like the red dragon. That's a
Oh, dude. Hey, I'm good to see you. Good to see you in a chair.
That's all. I derive pleasure from.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, I love it. No, more of these keep showing up. I think, you know what? I blame X-Ray Girl.
Hi, Dad. I miss you.
All right. It's a different show today. Back to Hollywood on the Rocks, our regular Wednesday show. Court will be back in session a week from today, Wednesday, July 12th, and then a special jurors deliberation on July 19th, which is going to be really fun. And then the final episode of Critics Court Star Wars on Trial on Wednesday, July 26th at a special time. But let's see who's in the chat right now. Hey, Ben Henniger has become a YouTube member. Well, that's great. Join the Discord, Ben, and go to the Critics Court forum on the Discord. You can be a part of the jury. I love that. Ban Brindlebeard III for 199 watched Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia last night. Thoughts on it? I love that film. I love Magnolia, not just because of the Amy Mann soundtrack, but additionally because Tom Cruise was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in that film. He did not win. We're going to talk about that later. For sure. But I love the film Magnolia. It's I don't know. I think that it's Paul Thomas Anderson's best film. Absolutely heartbreaking movie. Let's see. Patrick Lemire says, I am so GD tired of bad movies made by people that hate the audience. Not a big Mission Impossible fan, but I am sure AF supporting this film. It's my way of flipping off films that are made for the modern audience. We will get into it. We have special guests joining us in about 20 minutes. And we're going to talk Mission Impossible. For now, we have just other pieces of business. Joseph S. Dots, threaten my film, Christopher. Well, hell yeah, I'm going to. Bill S. Preston, Esquire. I haven't watched an MI film since the first. I didn't like what they did with Jim, but I watched the base jump video, and I'm kind of looking forward to this movie. We'll talk about it. Tapping the Source says, so happy that Film Threat is giving Sound of Freedom the shine and credit it deserves after Disney tried to bury the film after buying Fox. We're going to talk about that also later in the show. Oh, from Rumble. Hey, hi to our folks watching us live on Rumble. ADLS24 says, make sure to tap the thumbs up. Excellent. And another comment from Rumble. Ken Wolf. Wait, what? Who the hell is Chris? I want to see Frank. Frank Gore is my alter ego, like Triple X-Ray Girl. Alan, what's your alter ego?
Oh, I think we went X-Ray Dad, but I don't think that one's gonna stick. So
Yeah, I don't
we got
think
to
it's
go with
gonna
something
stick.
else.
How about X-Ray Dilf?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
My wife will love that one.
Sifx says, "Hail Film Threat, looking forward to a good show." Hey, AJ, what's going on? And Karate Stick says,
Oh, there we go.
"X-Ray's Dad." There we are. X Douchey McDouchek says, "Since you're going to be talking about Mission Impossible, should we call today's episode Cruising on the Rocks?" I have a video that I'm going to show later in this show from the year 2000 that I am in that is going to shock all of you. You are not going to want to miss it. It is Gore 2000, and it's a shocking video that resurfaced, and we're going to talk about it. X-Ray Pop. Maybe X-Ray Pop?
Oh, yeah, there you
Says
go.
Grizzled Entertainment. Happy Hump Day, says Davina Duckworth, who's a member. Thank you for that. Patrick Lemire, Alan's Disney money is gone, so he's on dial-up. Is that true?
Am I on dial-up? No, but yeah, apparently they've cut their shill budget.
Well, there you go. And Solomon Thornton says, "A friendly reminder that there are only 3 indie movies and blockbuster are films with good stories and great spectacle. Top Gun Maverick, Jaws, Star Wars. Hollywood has bad storytelling fatigue." Yeah, bad storytelling fatigue is kind of a thing right now. I mean, it's
I mean, how do you screw up Indiana Jones? How do you do it? I mean, they did it.
I don't know. But before we get on to today's topics, I got to remind people that the Attack of the Dock Ultimate Collector's Edition Blu-ray is available at shop.filmthreat.com. Go to the sales section or go to attackofthedock.com. There's the direct link to get the Blu-ray. It is currently available. And these are for pre-order. They'll be shipping the first week of August. Our Kickstarter backers, we're giving them a final chance to get us their updated physical addresses to mail these out. They will be mailed out, I think, as early as next week. So we're basically shipping in huge waves. The first wave, Kickstarter. I may bring some copies down to San Diego Comic-Con. So if you're at San Diego Comic-Con, I'm going to try to find a booth that for a couple of hours I can do a signing and sell the Blu-ray on Saturday. I'll maybe bring like 100 discs to sell. We'll see if I'm able to sell any. I don't know. I might not be able to. Who knows? But it is now available. Go to shop.filmthreat.com. Click on sale. It's a dual layer disc, and we counted. There are 28 and a half hours of extras on this. It's pretty impressive. So, and we're going to do in August, we'll be doing a watch party. So you can watch the movie along with myself, other special guests from G4. And we're going to talk about the film while it's on, while we're going to all watch it together is effectively what we're going to do. So check it out. Here's the main menu boot up screen. Check it out.
Remember a time not long ago when we came together to celebrate the things we all loved? All the things we cared about? Attack of the Show united all of us into one giant nerdy family.
There you go. So it is currently on sale, and I don't know. We ordered a certain amount. I don't know that after that batch is done, it might just be done. So when I say it's collectible. Okay. Chris for 5 says, "But Chris, does the Attack of the Dock Blu-ray have a slipcover? Physical media collectors go crazy for that cardboard." Actually, it does not have a slipcover. The reason for that, it was so expensive. I've been working on this Blu-ray for a year, and it was expensive to produce. So I didn't want to add to the cost. Also, it's a dual layer disc as well. It was almost a double disc because there's 28 and a half hours. Like if you watch and listen to everything that's on the disc, it will take you 28 and a half hours. I didn't do that. So what can you say? Can I buy it signed on your website? Says Lance Corporal Waffles. I don't, I don't know. I would have to open it. And yeah, I mean, you could get it signed at San Diego Comic-Con. I don't want to promise something I can't deliver. I already have to actually personally stuff all the envelopes and whatnot. I'm going to get help from other members of the team. But I mean, I could sign it. Put a little note when you order. If you can add to a note, please sign my disc. Put that as part of your name or something.
All I can say is if it sells extra Blu-rays, you may want to consider signing it.
All right, I'll consider signing it. But in order to get it signed, you've got to put in your name, please sign. All right. Just ordered my physical copy, says Spidey Sensei 72. Thank you for that. And from Rumble, Winter Soldier sub supporter. Hey, I want to see Alan fall through the menu screen when I make a selection. That could happen. Michael Seagriff says, it's a wonderful documentary. I smiled throughout. Thank you for that. It's weird for me to also take compliments. I'm really not good at that. Like, I'm shocked that the movie is like, it's 100% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critic score, 99% audience score, which is fair. And there you go. Comic Boom says, what is your view of most of Hollywood not attending San Diego Comic-Con? It's because of the strike. It's mainly because of two things. One, the strike, and the third one is the third one. First thing is the strike. It's sort of a bad look. And then the second thing is that it's expensive to take people to Comic-Con. And I think that all the schedules are going to be bumped anyways, because this writer's strike might go through the fall. So there you go. Hayden 75 says, just put my order in. Oh, that's great. Retribution 0 says, so what if we already ordered then? Send an email in? Yes. Send an email in. Say, here's my name. I ordered it. And just let me know. I will do my best. There you go. Joel Carver. Hey, Joel. Watched Attack of the Doc yesterday. It's damn good.
Yeah, it's the feel-good documentary of the year. That's all I can say.
It is the feel-good. So many documentaries are depressing.
Yeah.
Alan, you and I watched them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Malika Mibane says, what is your favorite Mission Impossible film so far? Wow. Let's save that. Malika, we'll save that for when we get into our conversation, because I am a little more than halfway through rewatching the first 6 Mission Impossible. So when we officially review it, when we officially review it, when it opens, I want to have already seen all of them. So there you go.
What's funny to me though is, remember Emilio Estevez was a part of that first Mission Impossible team?
Yes. Oh, yes. And he, spoiler alert, he doesn't live.
He doesn't live long in that movie.
Yeah. Let's keep Malika's starred comment there. We'll get to it when we talk Mission Impossible. Oakley Vandal says, that is a gorgeous Blu-ray, lads. Where can a Canadian order it? You can. Here's a trick that I did. Can I tell you a trick I did with this Blu-ray?
What?
It might be region free, which means it doesn't matter where you are in the world. Like, you can order it from the same place. Shop.filmthreat.com is where you can order it. And then, like, maybe if you're from overseas, you could get the Blu-ray. But we did not region lock the disc, specifically because we knew that people from other countries may want to purchase it. Now the shipping's going to be a little higher, but yeah, there you go. The secret is out. Secret is out on that. So there you go. All right, Alan, it's time for us to pivot. It's time for us to pivot. And we may need to table some of these other. Just a second here.
All right.
I was going to play a different video. We can't always play
You
the
keep
same
saying,
video,
hey,
man.
anticipate my thoughts.
Why don't you anticipate my thoughts? Oh my God. But let's talk. I'll tell you what we need to talk about. We'll talk about it briefly. I want to go into more detail on Friday, but it really is worth mentioning. It really is worth mentioning. And I do want to mention that the trial is going to be back next Wednesday, and this ties
It'll be
in
a big one.
And for all the movies that we did hear about today, we do know that there are some that have been shelved.
Well, they haven't been shelved.
Oh.
Most things haven't been shelved. Development is a complicated, long-term process. Some people, we're dealing with scheduling, because obviously really talented people are working. So we don't. It's often not a shelving. It's just, is it ready?
Yeah.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
All right, let's talk about the fallout of Indiana Jones and the Dial of
Can I
Destiny.
just say, I feel bad because that young lady was told, "Hey, you got Kathleen Kennedy, and you can interview her."
Yeah.
And then she comes in and she condescends to you.
Well, I mean, there are quotes out there about all these films in development. There is a list of the movies that were in development at Lucasfilm that have been shelved, or Rian Johnson was going to do a trilogy. There were so many projects that were announced, but that doesn't mean that they had funding from Disney. If you're going to greenlight a movie that's going to cost several $100 million, you can't just, I mean, you can announce that something is in development. That doesn't mean that thing is going to be made. I will say that I think Marvel and Kevin Feige have a much better track record when it comes to they're announcing a project that is going to happen and then it doesn't happen. There have been a few. The Inhumans was supposed to happen. It didn't happen, among others. But they've got a better track record. Certainly Marvel has moved their schedule around, but more than any other studio, Lucasfilm has announced projects that just don't go on to get made. But this film, I want to hear your thoughts, Alan. I mean, who would have thought this movie, and it barely creeped to like 60 million US. I think we're all kind of in shock about it. What are your thoughts? And we're going to talk about it more on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an indicator that Hollywood has no clue as to how to make a movie for the general audience. It's being said over and over again. Disney has become this IP killer, and it's just sad that how do you screw up an Indiana Jones movie? Well, they just did, and it's just I'm just tired of these studios just producing films that they think we want and don't even include us in what these movies should be about or what we love about these movies. And we'll talk about Tom Cruise in a moment, but his whole MO was thank you fans, this movie's for you. And that's not what's happening here.
We'll get to that when our special guests join us. But I've been collecting these. We're going to go over them on Friday. I wanted to give a little preview. There are an insane number of memes circling, being passed around on the internet now about the kind of the fall of Lucasfilm and why it's really not resonating with people. Here you have killing marriages, right? You've got, Han Solo ends up being a deadbeat dad. I mean, at least in the extended universe, Luke Skywalker had a relationship with a woman named Mara Jade. All right. Indiana Jones married Marion, and then you see where that ended up. These memes have been so on point lately. It's been kind of crazy to see how many have and then the fact that the other thing that Kathleen Kennedy has done is basically replaced every major Lucasfilm character with a brunette female counterpart. Let's take a look. Here's one, just visual, is literally just a visualization of, I really feel like when I felt like Han Solo was going to come out that Han Solo was Rey's dad. It felt like that's where they were leading. That isn't the case, but they've all been replaced by brunettes with British accents. How is this even? It's crazy to me because this is it's happening right before our eyes. And of course, when you try to point it out, people say, you're sexist for saying this. You're sexist for saying, we're just looking at like what happened. It's objectively true.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to your comments and see what you think about this. But
yeah, I mean,
Pilgrim Media too says, who's the producer in this operation?
Like I come from a business background, from a marketing standpoint, and it's always been, here's a product. How do you sell that product? You find a way to connect with your audience, and then you hone in on that connection and you sell your thing. It doesn't feel like Hollywood does that anymore. It feels like that their stories are the greatest ever, and you need to watch it. And if you don't spend your money and watch my movie, you're an ist of some sort. And,
right.
And Raiders of the Lost Ark is the classic. This is what boys and men wanted to have as a movie, and that's why we flocked to the theaters to go see it. And that's not happening anymore. What they're producing now, I hate to say it, I don't want to see it. It's certainly not made for the young boys and the toy collectors out there. Yes, I know I'm going to say the most misogynist thing ever, but it's true. It's like we don't want to produce movies, television, entertainment anymore for the male gender. And I'm sorry about that, but it's true. So
it's weird to say that. And Pilgrim Media, thank you for the two. Who's the producer? I mean, it's obviously Kathleen Kennedy making the big picture decisions here. The Cream NATO has become a YouTube member. Thank you for that. Join the Discord. It's in the community tab on YouTube. There's a link to the Discord for members only. And you can you could join for 1 month and then just get on the Discord and you're there. John Thomas for 5. Alan is wrong on one thing. They don't think we want these movies. They think we need them for our own good. Darth Kennedy is evil. Sassy77 says, little girls loved it too. I'm one of them, and I hate this crap. Sorry, Alan, you were going to say, interrupted you.
Yeah, we talk about marketing again. If you do your marketing research, you'll realize that, yes, girls did go see these movies, but not at the same rate and numbers as men did, as boys did. And that's what's happening now, and that's why they're losing money hand over fist.
All right. Well, the link in the Discord apparently is expired, but I'll post a new link by the end of the show. Back to comments here. Geek Truth 64 Threat Level 1 has been a member for 2 months and says National Treasure and Tintin are better indie films. In a sense, yeah. I mean, I had the opportunity over the weekend in the 4th of July festivities. I went to an amazing party at Mike MC Wong's palatial estate, which was amazing. We watched Raiders, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, this is such a good. Why could they just not do something like this? And then also, I think it was Andre from Midnight's Edge said that Indiana Jones movies should be period films.
Mm-hmm.
They really. The era of the 1930s is practically a character in the Indiana Jones films. I agree with Andre. I think he has a very good point on this. Crunchy, thank you for that. Crunchy Beaver for 20. I'll never get over that comment. I mean, I'll never escape from that comment effectively. What can I say? Crunchy Beaver says, let me get to the right tab here. Depends of Diarrhea was boring AF, but I actually fell asleep during The Flash twice. I hope Dead Reckoning isn't overstuffed. That running time is too long for an action, in my opinion. We will talk, once we get to the review, there'll be mild spoilers, but only about things that happen in the beginnings of the movie. But I'll get into what some of the movie's flaws are. It kind of has, for me, just a couple of nitpicks. But there you go. We'll get to it. Crazy Cat says the story of the iconic male hero dealing with old age and the adventurous life behind him has been done beautifully. And no, I don't mean Logan. Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven did it right. Well, funny enough, first of all, I agree with you, but funny enough, there's actually a script floating around that Mark Hamill was going to do as an indie movie about a retired space sorcerer. So there you are. Michael Seagriff says, now, if the brunette with the British accent is Haley Atwell, well, then you've got something. Well, I actually will agree with that.
Can't argue with that one.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that one. So, but these memes, I've just been collecting them. They're insane. And all right, I'm gonna one more meme, and then we're gonna bring on our special guests today. Let's see. I mean, this is where we are. This is really where we are. You know, where do you go with these three franchises? Star Wars, Willow, and Indiana Jones. It's an image of Kathleen Kennedy over a gravestone with Star Wars, Willow, and Indiana Jones logos. I mean, how do you argue with that? I just don't know. If you took over, let's say you're an executive and you take over Lucasfilm, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean,
well, with Indiana Jones, it would have to be a hard reboot. You know, you just recast and tell new stories in that time period. I mean, the stories you could tell during World War II, and Indiana Jones and the Nazi archaeologists. There's just tale after tale after tale, and there's a big world out there that he could go to. Willow, no one cares. Who cares about Willow? I certainly no fan of Willow. I believe really wants to see more of that now.
I mean, that movie was fine. I would put it in a category with like Krull, although I like Krull better. But Willow was fine. It was an interesting one-off. It's different fantasy world. It's basically, you know, George Lucas riffing on J.R.R. Tolkien, you know, on that world and that fantasy universe. But I think the thing that you do is you retire these brands and franchises for a while. A couple years, 2 to 5 years, have them go away and come back with one good movie. Final super chat here. We're going to pivot our conversation. Doc Savage for 5. I don't get why they keep making unlikable protagonists. I find myself hoping the bad guys win. Can you guys explain this to me? I don't know.
Alan? Well, it's the redefinition of what a hero is. I mean, that's the problem. It's like, since this is America Pride Month, you know, we need our protagonists to hate America and be anti-American.
Hey, let's bring Dante James is here from Verbal Riot. Hey, Dante, what's going on, man?
Boys?
Good to see you. Yeah, they don't think they're unlikable. Yeah, we were just talking about Indiana Jones being the box office poison that it is. A couple more super chats. I think Paulie's going to join us. We're going to talk about Mission Impossible, but Dante, your channel just relaunched. Didn't you get hit? You got hit for some stuff.
Yeah, and you know,
man.
I knew I would. It was just a matter of time. But look, I accept that YouTube has its rules, and if you don't play ball, then they'll come after you. So.
It is what it is, but
it is what it is.
You're back, so that's good.
I mean, luckily they didn't strike the entire channel. They just took down a few videos, but
right.
Yeah.
Big Worm for 10 says, what does Disney do if Lucasfilm properties are all dead? They didn't spend that money to make what they've made. How do they reboot without bringing in a completely new top level? Willow was awesome. Yeah, the original Willow, I remember enjoying it when I was a kid. I watched it and Willow was great. It was fun.
Yeah, but were you looking forward to the further adventures of Willow?
No, it was just like one and done. It's like, that was fine. It was a fine movie. But yeah, I thought, I think what you do is you actually put these properties on ice. You let the audience kind of forget, and then you maybe introduce like maybe some merch, some comics, some other stories and whatnot. But I think what you got to do is you got to put them on ice and then bring them back and plan for the comeback. And you got to actually reevaluate people's role at the company.
Yeah, you got to clean house. You got to clean house.
You got to clean house.
You know, we talked about during Critics Court. Someone had brought up the idea of, did George Lucas hand over damaged property? And if you look at the box office of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, the answer is no. People wanted to see that stuff. Those two movies made a lot of money, and they screwed it up. You know, this is Disney's fault for ruining Star Wars, not George's.
But I think you just put it on ice. You literally make it go away. I mean, that's what got people so excited about. And thank you, Big Worm. That's what got people so excited about Star Wars. I remember in the early 90s, Star Wars, there was nothing Star Wars. I mean, they had that, you know, Shadows of the Empire, which I really liked. I liked the video game and the soundtrack, and I really liked that. But like, they did everything but the movies, and it was kind of cool. I was a member of the Star Wars fan club. They even back in the day, this is in the later 90s, they charged money for their website. You could be a member of the website. It was the official Lucasfilm fan club. The Cream NATO for 5, the de-aged Indy looked like he belonged in the Polar Express. Yeah. But
here's the thing. Even if, say, Lucasfilm went away for a while, it wouldn't matter if Kathleen Kennedy is still there. They can go away for 20 years. If Kathleen Kennedy is still there, it's going to be the same outcome every time. So it doesn't matter how much distance they put between now and then, if Kathleen Kennedy is still at the helm.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It's I don't see how you fix things like that. I mean, it's so obvious.
And let's be honest here. She's staying there out of spite. She knows she should be going, but she's doing it out of spite.
Yeah. Chris Bolt says, "Hey, Chris, love your stuff. And name, does Mission Impossible end on a cliff? You know what? End on a cliffhanger like Across the Spider? I'm going to save that, Chris. I'm going to save that question. Anything related to Mission Impossible, we will get to when we talk to it. So, Chris, don't go away. We'll get to your question. I just want
the answer to the question of, does part 1 end on a cliffhanger? We'll save that.
We are going to save that until later. Alan calling me out. Crunchy Beaver for 5 says, Crunchy Beaver will haunt you until you retire. I'm still working on the end of Crunch Wars 3 Bushwhack. A lot of story left to pound out.
Nice.
I didn't even know how to respond to that one.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, when we bring on another high-profile director, we'll let Crunchy Beaver ask a whole bunch of questions.
Yo, no. We have 2 directors coming on Friday. Friday's going to be a good show, man. Friday's going to be good. Oh, and by the way, there's almost 900 people watching us live. Please smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get, it is Alan's goal to get to 169,000 subscribers.
And we almost have.
Oh, wow. What's that? What'd you say?
Say we're almost halfway there.
We're almost halfway there. So there you go. James, Threat Level 1, has been a member for 5 months, says, watched The Dark Knight yesterday. So yummy. That movie holds up. Big time holds up. So there you go. Some Rumble rants. Winter Soldier sub supporter, I appreciate you. Verbal Riot Show is in the Rumble ghetto, Rumble flag. So there you go. You gotta get on Rumble, Dante. That's what they're saying.
Oh, I'm like, what is the Rumble ghetto?
I don't know what the Rumble ghetto is.
I thought you were on Rumble already.
And what does the Winter Soldier have to do with this?
Yes, exactly. I have been watching Rumble just because there are certain YouTubers I watch that do additional content on Rumble. So I'm like, well, why don't I just watch Rumble? Like Nick Ricada is one, Odin's Men. There are a couple of others that I recommend. Ken Bogus, Threat Level 2, has been a member for 11 months and says, saw Dial, an unpopular opinion. I didn't hate Phoebe Waller-Bridge. However, did find myself yawning a lot. Worst character was the kid. Useless. Yeah, I would agree.
I would not agree. I would not say the kid was worse than Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
No, but
if it was just Indiana Jones and the kid, I would have enjoyed that a lot more.
Well, but like I disagree on that. I did not like Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I thought she completely derailed the film. Flavius Alacanthar for 10 pounds. Sorry, you close Lucasfilm down as an entity. Bye bye, Kathy. Just released origin stuff, first 6 Star Wars, first 3 indie, and wait until the public forgets. Then bring in some believers and reboot. I think that's the correct answer. Ding, ding, ding.
The problem is that she will not leave. She won't leave.
Well, my understanding is there's a contract that goes through 2025. I mean, you just don't greenlight any new movies, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper just to pay out her salary than give her money to make another movie.
Yeah. So,
but that's the thing. Even if they tried to pay her out, would she leave? Would she actually leave, or would she fight it?
Well, I mean, you don't have to pay her out. You just don't. You don't let her do anything until her contract expires.
Yeah, but
that's an idea.
But we're gonna pivot here, and we're gonna talk. Guess what we're gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about Mission Impossible, folks. And you know what's a Mission Impossible? It's Alan being able to stay in a chair. Nope, not that. Nope, not that.
Just play it. Jeez.
Saving. Okay, hang on. Wait, just wait. Just one more. Hey, joining us on the show, Paulie from the Latino Slant. Paulie, great to see you, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the invite.
Hell yeah, good to have you here. Let's talk about Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. This is our group review here. All 4 of us have seen the film. This is the 7th Mission Impossible film. I'm in the midst of rewatching the first 6. I'm on number 4, Ghost Protocol. And let me just say, what I'm reminded of by rewatching all the Mission Impossible movies is how wildly entertaining they all are.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, twists and turns, over the top action sequences. And in every Mission Impossible movie, there's always a scene where you're like, oh, Tom Cruise almost died doing this. Every single one, you watch a scene and this one is no different than that. In particular, the skydiving while jumping with a motorcycle where anything could have gone wrong. You look at Tom Cruise and what who he is as an actor, how much he appreciates the audience. It's crazy and it's insane. So let's talk about the film. Alan, do you want to give us briefly the story, and don't get into too much detail with regard to events in the second half?
Yes. So basically, AI is becoming a thing now, and countries are starting to use AI. And there's this one master AI program that is becoming a little bit sentient, and is starting to tinker around with major events in the world. And what makes this story unique is Isai Morales plays, I forget the name of the character, but he's kind of using Isai Morales' character as which one? What is it?
Gabriel. Isai's Gabriel.
Gabriel, that's right. He's using Gabriel as kind of the pawn, the human pawn. And he's able to allow Gabriel to slip in and out of anywhere like a ghost by just manipulating camera feeds and so on. And so, but no one really knows what's going on, and that's where Tom Cruise comes in. He has to. This AI program was found on a sub. Sub was sunk, and now there's a chase to get to the sub to get access to it. But you need keys, and so most of part 1 here is about getting the keys to activate and own basically the AI, and that's where we're at. And so Haley Atwell, her character gets involved. And Tom Cruise mostly throughout a lot of the film is just chasing her down, and she's trying to figure out who are the real good guys and the real bad guys. Kittredge is back, thank God, and Gabriel is also helped out by Pom Klementieff, who is an assassin. So that's the essentials. That's look, it's about the stunts, and this AI story is just a means to string those stunts together.
Well, let's go around the horn with like just overall impressions. Your overall impression of the movie. We'll get into more detail, but Dante, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, man. For me, the movie was just fun. It was fun. It's a movie where, look, there's intrigue, there's, espionage, there's all this stuff going on. But at the end of the day, it's a popcorn movie. It's an enjoyable popcorn movie. It's a movie where the female leads don't overshadow the main character, right? It's a movie where not only do you get to see, like Alan said, all the big stunts and all of that good stuff. Hey, you get to see some hot women too. And guess what? They're unapologetically hot in this movie. Right? Because let's be real here. Hollywood has hotphobia right now, and Tom Cruise is not afraid of it. So, no, all of the women are gorgeous, they're sexy, but they're also intelligent. They're badasses, right? Like, he does women right in this movie. And Haley Atwell's character is what Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character wishes she was. That's who Haley Atwell's character was in this movie for me. She was amazing, right? And especially having gone from seeing Indiana Jones the week before to seeing, Mission Impossible the next week and seeing just the differences between those two actresses and the two characters, man. It's just a good movie. It's a good movie. Is it the best movie, this year? Probably not. Is it going to win any awards? Probably not. Maybe stunts. But it's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I want to watch it again. And that says a lot for a movie that's 2 hours and 45 minutes. I want to see it again. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you on the female, on all the female, characters. They're strong women. They're not women who just were written like a male, like a man. And they are sexy. They're strong in different ways. I thought the female characters in particular were awesome. Paulie, your broad stroke thoughts.
Wildly entertaining. The stunts, the scenarios of the stunts, the situations that the IMF crews in, they just keep topping themselves. Whether it's a car chase on the cobblestones of Rome, they're doing it literally with one hand handcuffed in a Fiat. I just all props to Cruise and McGuire. Was it the director?
Christopher McQuarrie.
They got the recipe down several films ago, and it's just to me it's a continuation of this era. I would say since 2015 of these films. And so we could talk about it later as far as kind of like all these characters that are kind of like coming back. Some have two movie arcs, three movie arcs. Fantastic, amazing. Those are the existing characters. The new characters. The reason why it's 2 hours and 45 minutes is that there's so many new, incredible characters, from a disturbing manifestation of this AI in Gabriel, played by Isai Morales, to his French assassin, played by Pomme Clementif, who's a martial artist. In that skinny alley scene, incredible fight choreography. Again, they're taking, whether it's a train, whether in a skinny alley, we're going to top ourselves. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it all practical, and we are going to entertain the audience. That is a mantra of Cruise, that he even in his behind the scenes, it's always about us. That's my favorite action film of the year.
Cool. Alan, broad.
I'll just add the whole AI, the old AI gimmick here. It works in two ways. One, the AI is able to predict your every move. So everything everyone does in this movie, the AI knows that it's going to do it, or has a high probability of knowledge knowing it's going to do it, and that knowledge leads to an important scene that starts off the third act, and then also it manipulates everything. There's a part where Tom Cruise, where Ethan Hunt gets trapped in a way, and that was all the AI's doing, and so I think what makes this is not my favorite Mission Impossible movie. But what it does is it continues this idea of really smart storytelling, really smart political intrigue, and then it just ratchets the kind of stunts and action scenes. It's much more dangerous this time than it was before. I mean, hanging off an airplane is easy, but what happens in this movie is even more dangerous. And so, you got to hand it to McQuarrie and Cruise to deliver a movie that is just elevated, evolved from as an action film.
My broad strokes thoughts are that Tom Cruise has another hit on his hands. I don't know that it will be as big as Top Gun Maverick, but I'll just say based on, I think, what we've seen this summer, a lot of disappointments or films that have, I mean, how many times can you say underperformed at the box office until it's like, it sounds like a broken record? So many movies that everyone thought were going to be big hits have underperformed at the box office. I don't believe that that's going to be the case with this, in particular because they've been running these IMAX trailers for a year now. There's a really interesting one where they show the behind the scenes stunts. Tom Cruise lives to entertain the audience. I feel like at every given moment, I don't care what kind of scene it is, Tom Cruise is thinking how the audience is feeling right now. And I mean, he did it again. There are stunts. You think that, oh my God, like, how's he going to get out of this? There's also the other thing that's kind of underestimated in Mission Impossible movie is a great use of humor. There's a lot of humor in it as well. I want to talk about a couple of different action sequences. There's one in it. There's an action sequence early on in an airport that, I mean, there's not anything like really in terms of action going on, but it's so suspenseful because the AI is an ever-present threat, and you really don't realize how much AI could have an influence on everything that is basically guiding the decisions of people and manipulating the IMF team. And in particular, I've always liked Simon Pegg and his character Benji. He's the good comic relief. It's comic relief.
Great character. So I love that they've got that core team, and I mean, look, we've lost some members along the way, but I'm glad the core team is still here. And that action sequence in the airport is incredibly intense, even though there's actually technically not a lot of action. It's
running. There's people walking and running.
There's running.
Suspense.
Yeah.
The suspense. And the manipulation, which has always been part of Mission Impossible, having resolved. Me and Chris have been texting the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It's that whole idea of how do you elevate these simple things that you always see in every single action film.
Every single one.
How do you elevate the running and chasing? How do you elevate a car chase? How do you elevate, the train sequence?
If I can say
that's
something,
what they do in this movie.
Yeah.
If I can say something, Chris, about Dante's take on the women, I think what's really important also is that each one, you can say, in their character in the movie, they have to be very vulnerable. Whatever that circumstance, I'm not going to spoil it, right? What their circumstance is, but so vulnerable that they're either saved or they are cared for by Ethan Hunt. Straight up. You just don't see that in film. And it was marvelous, man. It was marvelous.
They let Tom Cruise be the hero, right?
Well, he's Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, and not only that, though, there's a certain realism to these women, right? Like, as well as these women can fight, right? If they're fighting a guy of equal, of the same skill set, the guy's going to win in that fight because of his size and because of his build, right? And we saw that happen with Palm, right? Amazing assassin, amazing fighter. When she fights a guy, of equal skill, she lost, right? Because that's what would happen.
Yeah, but I don't
know
really
what I mean?
care.
There's no Mary Sue's in this movie.
Okay, I get it, Dante, but even if she was killing it a little bit more, killing more dudes a little bit more, I'm in it. I've already bought it because her character, and like all the other characters, they show the vulnerability in when they're not fighting.
Sure, right. But my point is that they earn it. I feel like they earn it in this movie.
Yeah.
Versus the Mary Sue.
Correct.
Versus Indiana Jones, right? Like they actually earn it in this.
Well, I want to talk about some of the other action set pieces. There's a car chase in Italy that is over the top insane with all sorts of challenges that are incredible, involving Palm Clementoff and Haley Atwell and Clementieff, and then and also Haley Atwell and Tom Cruise. That is just so insane and over the top. It's one thing like, you know, someone saying in the chat CGI is way overused. I mean, I agree it can be, but in this, it's like, oh, those are this car is just crunching other cars. It's insane. So I just love that sequence. And the thing is, here's what's actually Indiana Jones is going to indie film. They're going to be glad they released it before Mission Impossible, because there's a train action sequence there. This is the better train action sequence.
And that's a pretty good one too,
easily.
Though. Yeah. I like the Indiana Jones train scene.
And then the other thing is, does it end on a cliffhanger? It actually does not. Technically, it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. However, the main conflict, the main villain, the main conflict is not resolved. Let's just say that the main mission is not complete, but it doesn't leave you hanging like the Spider-Verse movie that just kind of ended in the middle of a scene.
Or Fast X.
Or Fast X, like another like middle of a scene. Like, I don't think audiences appreciate that. They want to get a full experience. You could walk away from this and you know, you're going to want to see part 2 for sure, but you're not left with.
It's like Empire Strikes Back. You know, they carted Han Solo away, but the ending scene of Empire Strikes Back is the main crew together, wondering what their next move is going to be.
It's for me, it's pretty cliffhanger in a good way. I think so too. In a good way. I wasn't unsatisfied with those 2 hours and 45 minutes because I got to spend time with all those new characters and all those action scenes we talked about. However, there is a lot to be answered for. Like, like what is going on? This is incredible, guys.
But when I say cliffhanger, I'm referring to scenes of maybe a person hanging off a cliff. You know, that's the traditional image you get with a cliffhanger. You know,
but story-wise, it wasn't complete.
It's not resolved. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, we got a character who we liked that, you know, their storyline was completed, but as far as Ethan Hunt and there's I'm totally jacked for part 2.
Well, one thing I also really loved about this movie, and it didn't hit me till much later when I really kind of thought about it. And I thought about it only because I happened to be watching Batman Returns a few days ago, which I haven't seen since, I think it's been 10 years since I've seen that movie. And what Mission Impossible does is that it does kind of play with the 2 villain story arc, which was big in the 90s, but kind of went away, thank God, because they kind of overdid it. But, you know, Esau Morales and the AI were almost like this tag team, right, of villains that Ethan has to deal with. And much like, you know, Catwoman and the Penguin and that kind of thing. And I just felt like that worked really well in this movie. You know, the fact that he had to deal with these 2 super villains. You know what I mean? I'm sorry.
Sorry. Go ahead, Paulie. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the way I saw it is that Gabriel was the AI's, you know, manifestation in physical form, you know, and it was just killer, man. And then he had his henchmen and his crew. It's almost like, you know, he's seen the evils that you can't imagine. He's like, you have no idea of who or what I represent. I love that line.
Also, I love the fact that he was he plays a man who technically doesn't exist.
It's a ghost.
And I thought that was really intriguing.
And he's so damn good in this movie.
Dude, and this is where I just want to nerd out on because this is not the first time that they've talked about or had these motifs in these films ever since the De Palma film. So I'm dying to nerd out and talk about all this with you guys. Hello?
Well, you keep flashing in and out. That's all.
Oh. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, let's bring up McKittridge. I mean, his return.
Oh, I knew Chris froze.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, I don't think Chris is with us anymore. That's all right. We don't need him anymore.
No.
I mean, Kittredge, his return. to me, that was just kind of a nice nod to the early days of the Mission Impossible franchise, and to see that he's not changed, even though he's changed a little bit, maybe. And this even in the first film, it's this idea of, is he really good or is he really bad? And they play right into that with this film as well.
Well, he's a company man. I don't know if you wanted us to respond to that.
Not without any real details, but I mean, he's pretty much the same role he's always.
No, yeah, I won't spoil. Just talking about who Kittredge was. He was a company man in the first one, right? And so there was a great in the first movie, the De Palma film. Spoiler on that one. There was a deception where they did catch John Voight's character. So at the end of the day, McKittrick was, gave Ethan Hunt, a shot. And it is great to have him back. That was a really amazing first scene that he was in the new one. So look out for him in part 2. Also, too, some of the dialogue that he spoke in regards to all the decisions you've made in the past. I mean, everything that Ethan Hunt's all about, it's going to come to a head in part 2. And I really like there was a couple of de-aging flashbacks.
Yeah,
very quick.
And I like that it did give us a little bit of Ethan's background. Not a lot, but just a little bit.
Yeah, Chris's internet dropped out. That's why he's not here.
It dropped out.
Yeah. So keep talking. I've just got to text him real quick.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I mean, going back to Esau Morales, though. I mean, the guy's just amazing, man. I mean, I'll literally watch him anything he's in, and he just fits so well into that world. Like I bought him hook, line, and sinker as the villain of this film.
Yeah, I said this is his best movie role in decades.
Yeah, easily.
Best movie.
Yeah, we have a special guest.
Oh, hey guys! My internet just decided to not work. Sorry, folks. I'm back. I'm back.
Cool.
I'm glad.
We were talking about Esau Morales.
Oh, God, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great.
Although we just talked about Kittredge being back as well.
But it's also what I like is a villain that has gravitas, right? Really good just like where they don't need to be over the top. So we've talked about it in broad strokes.
Okay.
I think time, but I mean, look, I strongly recommend the movie. My review is highly positive. I mean, I'm going to give it an 8, but 8 out of 10. But I will say this: there are some flaws. I do think it's too long.
I totally agree with that.
This is the critique of every movie that's over 2 hours. Why, and especially rewatching some of the older Mission Impossible movies, they're all around 2 hours. But once they start to slide north of 2 hours, you've lost me. I feel like a tight 2 hours. If it's an epic like Dune, okay, 3 hours, cool, or whatever. Oppenheimer, 3 hours. But movies that are north of 2 hours, like they're just not necessary. And then there was the way it's a little slow in the beginning. I mean, I do like the opening action scene, then it's a little slow, and then there's this one scene that's shot almost all in close up, and it didn't work for me. Other than that, I think it's 8 out of 10. It's top tier Mission Impossible movie, and when it opens, like I believe it opens next week.
Yeah.
Next week, I'll have seen all the Mission Impossible films again. I've rewatched them, and I'll rank them. So 8 out of 10 for me. Everyone else around the horn. Alan, what do you think?
8 out of 10, definitely.
Paul?
Yeah, I think that's a solid number. I think the only thing that keeps it from being like a 9 or 10 for me was the runtime. Even 2 hours and 20 would have been a good cut for me instead of 2 hours and 45 minutes. I think we could have shaved off an easy 20 minutes. So
yeah. Paulie?
I'm gonna say 9, and I can't wait to see the second one to see how they both fit each other. It is a part 1. I could see where people maybe got lost in the middle and then came back to it, or I don't know what. To me, when Haley, by the time she came on, then the story really started to move again. And I think that was like she came on like at the end of the first hour, maybe. Yeah, that being said, 9 out of 10.
Wow. All right. Well, let me so real quick, let's go through some comments and questions here, and then I have a special treat for you. It's a video of me from the year 2000, and it's about this. I'm reviewing. I'm talking about the second Mission Impossible movie that came out in 2000.
Ooh.
So
that's a controversial one.
You guys got to stick around to watch this video, but let's go to your comments and questions here. And I promised I would get to this. Maleka Mebane asks, what is your favorite Mission Impossible film so far? What do you think? Let's go around. Do you guys have a favorite one so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's between Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation.
Interesting. Okay.
I think Rogue Nation is going to win this one out, though.
Okay.
Although I like a lot of Ghost Protocol.
All right, Paulie, you've watched them all. I'm still going through it.
Well, without Dead Reckoning, Part 2, you know, I'm in between the De Palma and Rogue Nation because of the introduction to Isla Faust. I thought her character is just amazing. I thought they're more so than the wife.
Dante, what are your thoughts?
Well, full disclosure, I haven't seen Rogue Nation or Fallout. So for me, from the ones I have seen, which is the first 4, I would definitely say it's pretty close between the first Mission Impossible and Ghost Protocol for me.
There you go. Yeah, I think the first one really. I was shocked how well it held up, in spite of the fact that the tech is so old.
Yep.
The tech is just, it's bizarre that the tech in it is just like, they have like these big boxy tube computer screens and the phones, everything about it was so like low key.
It's so 2002. I mean,
yeah, no, this is 1996. The first Mission Impossible. It's crazy. So
honestly, my only issue with the first one is they turned Jim Phelps into a bad guy. Like,
I did not like that.
It's just a trope.
Like
That's the trope they always have to go with.
Yeah, but the way they filmed that first movie, that it's so beautiful to watch.
And John Voight is great as
and he's a crack up. You know,
really
honestly too, Fallout 2 is like a Rogue Nation 2.0. It's like a continuation of the villain, of the storylines. But for me, you take out 2 and then 3, to me they're all up there. They're all really equally just so amazing. I mean, I love Ghost Protocol as well. Paula Patton, hello.
Let's go to more comments. Thank you, Maleka. Chris Bolts for 5. Hey, Chris, love your stuff and name. Does Mission Impossible end on a cliffhanger like Across the Spider-Verse? We're going to self-contained movie that leaves you satisfied. I think we answered that, Chris. But thank you for that. Appreciate it. I wanted to make sure
we're
that
just arguing over the precise definition of a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Mr. Tickle Trunk for 2. Hey, Mr. Tickle Trunk, like NASCAR, I'm just here to see chair accidents. John Thomas for 5. It sounds like Verbal Riot agrees with me. Darth Kennedy made Indiana Dial of Destiny intentionally bad and is burning Lucasfilm to the ground on her way out the door. MK Solid 82 for 199. Guys, it's time for KK to destroy the Rocketeer. And Mike Waite for 10. Mission Impossible Woke Reckoning. I cannot wait to see Oppenheimer's 70mm IMAX. Have a great weekend. Thanks for everything that you endure. And Mike MC Wong says, was RRR too long? Not for me. It's an epic. It's that's an exception to the rule. Rumble, Faux Peasy supporter man, seeing that hat and mustache from the gentleman on the left made me think of Mr. Potato Head.
Okay.
Well, there you go. There you go, Paulie. I never would have thought
that's a first.
Hortense, this is absolutely the best live chat group for movies, most fun, no toxicity, and lots of insightful observations. Well, thank you for that, Hortense, Ollie Hayes, hanging off an airplane is not easy. Is this guy serious? Alan, that was your comment.
Yeah, I mean, how hard is it to hang off an airplane, really?
Alan, I disagree with that.
There's all that CG. I mean, really, yeah.
Tree Rock Creations, what do you mean when referencing a strong woman? Do you mean capable woman who is resourceful in a believable sense? Does a 90-pound woman beat up a 200-pound man? Not in the Mission Impossible world. It's pretty. I think women have different abilities. Let's just say that the female characters have different abilities, and they're strong in their own way.
Isla Faust. Oh, I'm sorry. If you take gender out of it, wrestling is the perfect example of this. You have the giants, and you have the small guys. And if you're just gonna have them punch each other out, the strong guy is gonna win. Right. But you have to use your body, the uniqueness of your body and your abilities to take down the bigger foe. And that's the whole point of this, is that none of these villains are just two people standing next to each other punching each other out. It's more than that. And that's when you bring the female element into it. That's where these battles become more interesting.
Yeah, and look, we're not talking about a female assassin, taking out, some like pudgy guy at Foot Locker, right? Who works at Foot Locker, right? We're talking about an assassin going against a male assassin of equal skill but bigger size, right? And in that context, there's no way that she's going to beat him square up. Maybe she could like assassinate him from afar, but she's not going to like get into a fight and beat that guy.
Or if she has a sword or a very large lead pipe.
There you go. Those are useful. Gridley says CGI is way overused. I mean, I would agree with you. I think it's way overused in all movies. I didn't feel that way watching this film. Didn't feel that way on Mission Impossible. Is the story good though? Says Killick69.
Yeah.
And then Alan, that's a good point. Says Tree Rock Creations.
Start that.
Malika Mibane says exactly. Well stated, Alan. Who's highlighting these comments now? Thoughts on fitness with Nigel. It's been threat level 1, has been a member for 6 months. Says, I have been suffering film and stream fatigue. Well, there you go. Yeah. I would agree.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. The real Mission Impossible is Kathleen Kennedy trying to make a good movie. Lol, says Ted Mack. And Patrick Lemire says, Henry Zerne is great. You need a duplicitous intel officer. He's your man. And Michael Seagriff says, diversity is done organically in cruise films. I noticed that as I'm watching, like I watched the first 3, I'm kind of 3.5 in to the 6 previous Mission Impossible movies. And I was like, oh, these movies are diverse. It just feels organic. It doesn't feel shoehorned in or forced, or it doesn't feel like, there's any ethnic group that's preferential or diminished. It's like they all have strengths. And I don't know.
And let's not forget that Emilio Estevez was in the first movie.
Any thoughts on this? Because, honestly, I'm in the minority on this live stream. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if you guys know how that feels, but I'm just saying, trying to make.
No, I think that's spot on. I think they're very diverse, but in the right way. You know why? The reason why I say in the right way is because they don't call attention to it, right? Like they never call attention to anybody's race or ethnic background. It's almost irrelevant, really. And that's what they do well about in these movies.
Yeah, and also when you see them, they're competent in the role that they've been assigned, and that has nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I
think because of the genre, it's international. Just because you buy that because you're dealing with international good guys and bad guys from different agencies, different governments, different languages. To where even Ethan Hunt's speaking French, he's speaking Spanish, different films. It's cool, and of course it's going to be a little diverse, but it's all within that spy world, where these guys got to know multiple languages, and then I mean there is that one. And they'll use comedy with it sometimes, right? What was it Rogue Nation or Fallout, where Benji had to put on the mask? It's like, why do I got to put it on?
Yes.
And then Ving Rhames kind of looks at himself. He's like,
and that it was great, but that was played for laughs.
That's all you needed, and boom, next beat.
Yeah, it was great. But so real quick, we're gonna react to this older video I have a reason for us to do this. And then we're going to also talk about Sound of Freedom before we wrap up the show today, just to give people a window into what's happening here. But there was a TV show that I did back. It was like 99, 2000 era. I did a show called, first of all, I was on a show called The X Show, and you saw like this segment I had called The Gory Details. Well, that segment became very popular. And from that, FX developed a show called The New Movie Show with Chris Gore. So this was a show, it was a movie review show. I was the host of the show. It was a very diverse group of film critics. I'll give you a tease of it. I'm going to show you just like the opening of the show. Like, let's see. I'll show you like the opening of the show. What am I going to do? I'm presenting. Sorry. I'm sharing a video file here of an episode of the show. You might recognize someone from this episode. This was an episode from July of 2000. Okay.
Rocket.
July 2000. So let's check this out here.
Wow.
I need to adjust the audio.
23 years ago, bro.
Yeah, I know. So don't laugh when you see this.
Oh, we'll laugh.
Well, I'm gonna laugh.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Don't tell me how to think.
I make no promises.
Part of this.
Don't tell me.
I don't
how
want to ruin it.
Tonight on the New Movie Show, evil mutants try to take over New York in X-Men.
This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Wannabe filmmakers try to take over Hollywood in Dreamers.
You don't mind me changing in front of you, do you?
No. And a corpse tries to take over Michelle Pfeiffer's body in What Lies Beneath.
I think she's starting to suspect something. Your wife.
All that and more right now.
You know what I realize is how bad some of these older films are. But like here, check this out. You might recognize. Okay, feel free to laugh.
Where was the soundstage at?
This was it was off of like not Melrose Avenue. I wanted somewhere. It's off Melrose.
Like
okay.
Raleigh or something. Or...
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah. So I look different. There's someone else here you might recognize. Tell me when you see.
Oh, I know who it is.
Welcome to the New Movie Show. I'm Chris Gore from Film Threat. If you want the straight talk on movies, you've come to the right place. Joining me on the panel tonight are Susanna Breslin, a contributing reviewer for RoughCut.com, Robert Burnett, writer-director of the independent film.
Oh, look at that. What? Is that Robert?
Whoa.
Wow. Okay.
My mind is blown right now.
Oh, no. Okay.
How do you call it?
Udari Coker from Premiere Magazine and the host of the Movie Lounge on TBS, Kent Osborne. Welcome to the show.
All right. I don't think I can watch any more of this. This is just too embarrassing. This is too embarrassing.
That's wild.
But I will.
Wait, what happened to the Mission Impossible?
Okay, I'm good. All right, I'm getting to that. So here is a segment. I have to find it. But here's a segment from the New Movie Show. It was the week that the new Mission Impossible opened, and I'm gonna find it. It's towards the end of the show. I'm gonna find it.
Did you do your own wardrobe?
No, they did my wardrobe for me and my hair, and yes, I looked different. Let's just say that I look different. Okay, here we go. It's right around here. All right.
Welcome back to the New Movie Show. I'm Chris Gore, and I have to make an announcement. I've thought long and hard about this, and I guess the best thing to do is just to say it. I'm going to come out of the closet. I love Tom Cruise. And you know what? I am sick and tired of my friends teasing me just because I love Tom Cruise. This especially happens in groups of my male friends. And you know what? How can you argue with the fact that his films have grossed over $1.6 billion in the U.S. alone, despite having to deliver dialogue like this from far and away?
You're a corner, Shannon. I'm not a corner, you are.
Okay, not his best work. And first of all, what the hell's a corker, Gary? You'd probably know.
It's a quaint old English term. It means 2 thumbs up, that which is good.
Okay, well, this film's a turkey. But this film, still a bad Tom Cruise movie, made $60 million. So I want to know, what's the secret to his success, Susanna?
I think it is the mystery of being the kind of guy that all men want to be like you and all women want to have sex with you.
Okay, that's not a bad thing. Gary?
I know.
Wait, hold on. So, Far and Away made
success...
60 million at that weekend?
Yeah. And by the way, that person that's on the screen right now, that's Gary Whitta. Do you know who that is?
No.
He is the screenwriter of Rogue One. And I knew him back in the 90s. He was a video game editor. And I actually wrote for his magazine. He was the editor of the US version of a magazine called Total Film. And super nice guy. Super nice guy.
But was it the
Yes?
what's his name? Chokari? Choki?
Cheo Hodera. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't he go and do some stuff?
Yes, he did as well.
Right.
He's a screenwriter now. I don't know how much more of this you want to watch, but we can go through. It's just a couple minutes. If you guys feel free want to. But look, this is a true thing that I would say, I love Tom Cruise movies. Everything from like Risky Business, whatever. And my male friends would be like, how do you like Tom? Why do you like Tom Cruise? Why do you like Tom Cruise? And even to me, Magnolia, I love that movie. I think Tom Cruise is a brilliant actor. The problem is I think he is too good looking. And so he doesn't get taken seriously as an actor. Does that make sense? We can just watch a little bit more of this. I don't know how much the chat wants to watch this, me embarrass myself, but we'll continue.
He has a great eye for material. He picks the best scripts. He very, very rarely appears. Ever since the days of Risky Business and Top Gun, he very rarely appears in a bad movie. And you know, if Tom Cruise is in a movie, it's going to be of a certain quality. It's like a stamp of quality.
Exactly. So basically, John Travolta, give Tom Cruise a call, help you pick some material. Okay, Scott?
Well, yes. Well, I got 2 words: career management. He has constantly made movies that will not only impress his fans, but will also impress his peers as well. Look at his career through the years, and especially when you get to last year with Magnolia, he was just the man. He totally redefined his career with Magnolia.
Okay, Holly.
You know, he's likable. No matter what he does, we like him. We just like him. He's a likable guy.
Okay, well, I agree. And he took 2 years off to work with Stanley Kubrick. Take a look at this scene from Eyes Wide Shut.
He just laughed at me.
But that's not the end, is it?
No.
Why don't you tell me the rest of it?
So he's very good at making smart career moves. We know Stanley Kubrick is a great director, but can Tom Cruise act? Scott?
Well, obviously, I say yes.
Yeah. Okay. Susanna?
Got 2 words for you, Scott. Restraining order. Okay. You know, I think he was unbelievably fantastic in Eyes Wide Shut and Magnolia, but, you know, Top Gun, I think to call a great performance is a joke.
Well, no, I totally disagree. Of course he can act. 3 Oscar nominations, including 1 for his performance in Born on the 4th of July. Let's take a look at this.
Sometimes I wish I'd... First time I got hit, I was shot in the foot. I could have laid down. I mean, I think, Timmy, I give everything I believe in. Everything I got, all my values, just to have my body back again, just to be whole again. I'm not whole. I never will be, and that's the way it is, isn't it?
That was amazing. How can you argue with that performance, Gary?
I don't think you can argue with that performance, and I think the whole point about Tom Cruise and why he's so great is that he can appear in Top Gun and Magnolia. That's tremendous range.
But he does pick great movies, and he's good in them, but he's still Tom Cruise. I think he has a limited range.
You know what? I hear he has no range a lot, and I completely disagree. Rain Man, in my opinion, they nominated the wrong actor. Basically, Dustin Hoffman plays a retard in the movie. Tom Cruise is
No.
performance because his character starts out as a jerk, then he has to change and become a more understanding human being. So I don't know. And he's bankable. Here's a guy who can't make a movie without making $100 million. He's good looking. He's talented. He's got everything. Who's a bigger movie star than Tom Cruise?
Nobody.
Schwarzenegger.
Nobody.
No, Schwarzenegger can't act. Brad Pitt can't open a movie.
Wait,
Movies
what?
don't make big money.
I don't think there's
So I'm
anyone
sorry.
in the world who's. I think
act.
Tom Cruise is the quintessential movie star of his generation. I think someone like Tom Hanks may be a bigger and better movie actor, but to be a movie star, you have to be able to kick some ass, and Tom Cruise can get it done.
Absolutely. You know what? I love Tom Cruise. Stop teasing me about it. I'm proud to say it. I love Tom Cruise. All right. I want to thank Holly and Scott and Susanna and Gary for helping me out.
Stop it here. It's amazing though that we could still have that exact same conversation today.
Yeah, right now we got. In fact, a couple of days ago, I tweeted out, I think Tom Cruise is one of the last great movie stars that we still have.
Oh, you're muted, Chris.
You're muted, Chris.
I think when this clip resurfaces and goes viral, I'm going to get canceled for saying the word retard. I think that's
you just got us demonetized. So
but it's funny because I'm watching this going like, oh, you could just say the same stuff now. Like,
I know exactly.
It's not. I just want to share it. I'm not trying to first of all, feel free to laugh and make fun of me. There's already so I'm sure somebody already changed their avatar picture to 90s Gore. But I've always felt this way about Tom Cruise, completely underappreciated. And here it is 23 years later, and he still has a career. Name an actor that has as big a career as Tom Cruise from 2000 to now. There are zero people that can make that distinction.
Let's talk about his influence, man. I mean, if we're going to be real here, it's like everything he does, especially during like the 80s into the 90s, was gold, man. When he did Top Gun, I read something like, recruitment for the Air Force went up or Navy went up like 40% because of Top Gun, right? After Cocktail, you had like this increase in bartenders all of a sudden, right? And Days of Thunder, all of a sudden you had people wanting to be race car drivers after that. The guy is just influential, man, and he continues to be that guy.
Let's go through some quick comments here, and then we're going to talk about Sound of Freedom. We need to talk about Sound of Freedom. So real quick, Lazarito Suherto 199. Thank you for your 199.
I just can't get over your red shirts.
What can I say?
I think I liked it better without the white t-shirt underneath. So
first, we did like 20 episodes of that show. I should clip some stuff out because what's funny is I look different than I did in 2000, but I pretty much have the same opinions about things. My opinions about things are pretty consistent. And in that show, we also reviewed independent films that came out. Like it was like whatever the big Hollywood movie is, an indie movie, a documentary. It was on FX for like 6 months, I think.
So a lot of Miramax movies.
Yeah, a lot of Miramax movies. Let's see. The old CBS building by the Grove. No, it was a smaller set. It was where they shot The Player, I want to say.
Great
but
movie.
It was like off of Santa Monica, Melrose area. Very close. Yes, very close to where Lucy's Adobe is, because we would always go there after the show.
That's Gower. That's right down the street on the other side of Paramount.
Gower Studios. Yeah.
Gower Studios. Blasphemy. How dare you call a Tom Cruise movie a turkey? Yes. Says Turd Ferguson. The Nerd Far Away. I liked Far and Away. Well, there you are. Yeah. John Odom. So Film Threat used to be the movie version of Tough Crowd. No, Film Threat was a thing that I created years ago. I was the host of a show called The New Movie Show, which was on FX. And, I had all my VHS tapes. This is like over a decade ago. I had all my VHS tapes like digitized, and I went through a hard drive and found it. I'm like, didn't I have a conversation once about how much I love Tom Cruise? So there you go. But it was basically, the idea was it was one of the producers from the TV show Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher. One of those producers was the producer of The New Movie Show. So it was always about finding people that had very different opinions. So it was very diverse before that was legislated and mandated.
But I didn't see any Asians on your panel.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, everyone, but
That
Asians
panel was
are
pretty Milky Way.
yeah. it was look.
By the way,
Rumble,
when did Patrick Warburton take over Robert Meyer Burnett's career?
Yeah, exactly. From Rumble, Aid Ellis 24. Film Threat should have Scott Mantz on sometimes. I know Scott Mantz. I have known him for years. He was a recurring on that show that I did, and I've just known him like in the realm. Also in Star Trek, he's a huge Star Trek fan, so he's been a host at things like Star Trek Vegas. So yeah, Scott Mantz could join the show if he wants. I think he's doing TV now. He's doing stuff
on
for
Channel 5 a lot. He's on KTLA.
He's on Channel 5. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I know. Channel 5. Babbling Booby, why do chicks do those haircuts?
Which ones?
Exactly.
It's those
Exactly.
90s cuts. Yeah.
Yes. Samuel Stokes, he was hilarious in Tropic Thunder. Agree. We'll get to that. Airsoft 123, we will get to your question. Good Wrench just sends in a $10 super chat. Good Wrench is a member. Thank you for that, Good Wrench. And B Rad says G&G says retard all of the time. I think you're good. All right, yeah. That was it was a different time, let's say. And then Sweet Potato Night says, Chris, we all know Gary Whitta is trash with After Earth. I did not like After Earth. I think he knows that. So there you go.
Did anybody like that movie?
He wrote the best Star Wars movie of the Disney era.
Yeah, but then it got rewritten. I don't know what the real story is, and I haven't had an in-depth conversation with him. I did see him before Rogue One opened. That's the last time I saw him. It was at San Diego Comic-Con right before Rogue One opened, and then I'm not as big a fan of Rogue One. I want to see what they originally intended. I want to see what they I think that they got cold feet and they just made it, they retooled it in yeah. But yeah, I don't know. After Earth,
wait, Kofi how? Everybody died.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, let's we're gonna pivot. And stick around. We're gonna stick around. We're gonna talk about Sound of Freedom, but we have to pivot just for a second. Alan, 10 seconds.
Cut the blue wire, then cut the red wire, but only if the third wire is yellow.
Alan, I know you can do it, Alan. Do it.
Pull the flange.
Hold on, Alan. Hold on.
69.
Alan, 1 second. Perfect.
Michael.
What? All right.
The old very Mission Impossible inspired.
It fits with Mission Impossible. It fits.
Yeah.
Before we start this, hey, there's over 800 people watching live right now. Smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Alan wants us to get 169,000.
Oh, I thought you were going to play the video. I'm sorry.
I'm not going to play the video.
And we have a nice crowd over at Rumble as well. So welcome everyone.
Oh, thank you. Shout out to everyone on Rumble. Alan, tell us the story of the film Sound of Freedom.
Yes. Well, the film Sound of Freedom is the true story of Tim Ballard, who is a Homeland Security agent who was kind of his deal was he was going after pedophiles here in the States. And he realized that after doing a pretty good job of arresting these online pedophiles, that there are victims out there, and that his job felt empty because he was getting to the victims too late, and he wanted a chance to finally go in and save people, save children who are being who are victims of sex trafficking, and So the story then switches to a brother and sister from Honduras who are kidnapped, lured into the world of modeling, but then turned into child sex slaves. And he is able to rescue the brother. And as a promise to the brother, he promises that he's going to rescue his sister, which opens a political can of worms at this point. And to the point where he goes to Colombia, where the hub of this trafficking is going on, and he starts a sting operation similar to Epstein Island. And so that's the basic plot of Sound of Freedom, but it's a true story, which is amazing.
what's amazing about this film is you can look on it as simply a suspense thriller. It's a thriller that is incredibly riveting. It opens with this young girl. You see her basically, you see her kind of expressing herself, singing as she plays on a drum, and you meet these two brother and sister. They're very close, and there's promises from a very beautiful woman who enters their lives, says, we're going to make you stars. You're going to be child stars. You're going to sing and dance and do all these things. And they're kidnapped and disappear. I'll say that even as a suspense thriller, it's really intense, from not just the cinematography, from the incredible performances by the two young actors who, they don't have a lot of lines in the movie, but it's so their performance is so powerful. And Jim Caviezel, you meet him and you see him busting a pedophile. You see like how this game works, that they throw out this, and I don't want to go into detail about it. See the movie, but it's riveting because it's played like a suspense thriller, and it's one of those
intense. It's hard to watch. It is absolutely hard to watch.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that because I have friends who are interested in seeing this film, and the one thing the most common question is, you know, especially for people who have kids, you know, like, is it hard to watch?
It is.
Well, it is in this sense, but the movie does hold back. It's PG-13. It's not, it never crosses a line. So many things are implied in the movie of things that happen. You never ever see it. There's nothing inappropriate.
It never gets salacious, but if the idea of your children being kidnapped is triggering to you, this movie will trigger you.
Well, I think they understand that part, but yeah, like I guess Chris addressed it. Is it graphic? You know, is it like?
It's not graphic. But I will say this. As a parent to both, you know, a son and a daughter, watching this movie, I am sitting there and I could feel violent urges in my body. I could feel like a seething, like one of the Liam Neeson Taken films, or like a Death Wish, where something has happened. It's my only fear in life is any harm coming to my kids. That is literally I don't sit around and you know, have anxiety about things that haven't happened. The only thing I think about is if anything happened to one of my kids. That is, I don't know. I don't think I could take it. So I'm watching the film and I am like muscles tense, like edge of you, like holding on, like I want to beat the living crap out of one of the characters in the movie. And then I'll say this, and Paulie's not here. I know Paulie will give his thoughts. And I'm really glad we saw it as a group. A group of us are like, hey, this movie opens today. We should all go see it together. We were sitting by the end of the film. I texted Alan. I said, you're about to see it. I said, bring a Kleenex. I'm sitting here, and one of the manliest guys I know next to Dante is Paulie. And I could hear behind me at the end of the film, Paulie bawling his eyes out. And then I was like, all right, that gives me permission, because I was holding back. I was literally just holding back. Like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm getting weepy, but I'm not going to cry. As soon as I heard Paulie squeal like a girl crying, like, and Paulie's back. I'm busting your balls, man.
I've been listening.
No. Literally, Paulie sat directly behind me. I could hear him crying, and then I lost it too. And I didn't have like any Kleenex. I'm sitting there with my T-shirt. Like a bunch of us were crying. Yeah. I'm not the only one. The whole audience, you could hear people. It was dead silent. And then another couple quick things. Stay through the end of the credits. Jim Caviezel gives this impassioned speech about this problem of child abduction and trafficking, and it is riveting. And what's very telling is how little attention this film is getting in the mainstream media.
Yeah.
This movie, by the way, #1 at the box office on 4th of July. #1. Let me give you some of the numbers. I got.
Yeah, I'd love to hear those numbers.
Yeah, projecting over 14 million, 11.5 million from direct box office, and 2.6 million from pay it forward tickets. They do this campaign where for people that are unable to see it, you can buy a set of tickets so families can go see the film. It opened on 2,600 theaters. It's got an A+ cinema score. A+. That does not happen very often. Okay. And 85% Rotten Tomatoes score from critics, 99% audience score, tied with Attack of the Doc, I just want to say. But it was the #1 in theaters. I think a lot of it because Sound of Freedom, it sounds very patriotic film. It's from the studio called Angel Studios, and Angel Studios, for the most part, releases like films that are faith-based movies. This is not... this movie's not faith-based. It's not, I mean, religion.
There's elements of it. There are elements of it, yes.
Elements, but it's not pushed. It almost reminds me of, like, remember when old movies would say things like God? They would mention God or religion. And
Correct.
now modern movies don't mention God or religion anymore.
Well,
it's
kind of made like, center of left people like alt-right. Now.
Yeah.
Like it's an alt-right film because they mention God. I mean,
right.
Well,
that's what I was
Give me a break. Give me a break. But
well, was this movie? Was this a movie that was produced by Mel Gibson?
No,
it's produced by Eduardo Verástegui, who is a.
No, that was The Passion of the Christ. You're thinking of.
Who is?
No, I heard something that I heard Mel Gibson was doing a movie based on sex trafficking, and I thought this was.
He's doing a documentary.
Yeah. So I want to hear Paulie. Look, I was of course teasing you a little bit there.
Yeah.
But I was right there with you. I was with you. Tell us your thoughts too, because we had a great conversation. I think all of us were kind of gutted after seeing the film. I mean, in a good way. There's not been a movie I've seen this year that has affected me as emotionally as this film.
Yeah, I mean, it's a message. It's a message-based movie. It brings awareness to an issue that no one talks about. And if you put on your conspiracy hat, I could tell you why I think no one talks about it. But this is a very powerful movie, and that's what it's going for. Go ahead, Paulie.
Yeah. Sorry, Paulie and Alan, I'd like to get your thoughts. I just feel like no movie this year has moved me more emotionally than this film. This is why I go to the movies. I want to feel something. I want to live through an experience. And the fact that this is based on true events, and you see they actually show footage at the end of the real people and the real things that happen. It's amazing. But Paulie and Alan, I want to hear your thoughts and about this film. And Alan, you actually saw it with your family. You took your family and your daughter.
Yeah, it's actually my wife who really wanted to see this movie.
Oh wow. Okay. But Paulie, let's start with you on that.
Of course, the subject matter is a very difficult subject matter, even to have mature conversations about as adults, and much less watch a film about the subject matter. We live in such a cynical world nowadays that jaded and kind of disconnected from the human experience that we sometimes miss the creative treasures that filmmakers can deliver on. It does happen, and that is the sound of freedom. It goes beyond an important film, where it just touches your soul deeply, that you feel afterwards you need to do something. You got to do something. What can I do? How can I help? And this is one of those films that can really unite people, unite the regular person, just as far as great filmmaking, great story, but then the subject matter. And I mean, in regards to my feelings for the movie, what I was going through, I couldn't even talk. I remember afterwards, I went and did my reaction for my channel, and I had to keep my sunglasses on. I could barely put my sentences together. I was a little shaky because it hit me that much. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, we're not human if we don't react. And as Chris said, you know, Paulie made it okay for me to cry. It's like, well, you know, I was feeling it, man. This is, you know, I was feeling it, you know, I was feeling it at different times as well, because there was what I did not expect is that the setting was going to be set with Latino storylines and actors in it, and how that connected to their culture, to their families, the music, the singing in Spanish, what they were singing about. I was just like, I almost walked out because it was just like too much. In fact, one of our friends did walk out a couple times just because it's just so much emotion. And directed by Monteverde and produced by Eduardo Verástegui. All hats off to them. All praise Verástegui, because they did this, they filmed this 5 years ago, and it was owned by Disney. It was owned by Disney, and it sat there, right? So Verástegui, the producer of this movie, and he's also in it. He's a Mexican actor model, kind of a conservative. Well, he's a very conservative guy in Mexico. He bought the film back, and he got this movie the distribution that it needed. Him, now Mel Gibson, Caviezel, they're all been doing the promotion on this and creating those independent channels of media so we can get the word out. And I don't want to talk about politics. I'm just talking about the independent spirit that you guys are all about, that Film Threat's all about. This is one of the greatest examples of the independent spirit of film. Hands down. I mean, and then you have the subject matter, right? So this is a win for lovers of cinema, lovers of independent film. Obviously, we're all against this subject matter, like this injustice. And then the fact that, for the Latino Slant, that, my Mexican brothers made this shit happen. I couldn't be prouder. I could not be prouder. I'm like, just holding back my emotional and my tears right now, because it's just, you saw me, Chris. I couldn't even talk afterwards. Stop. Stop.
Can you make it bigger?
I'm just saying, okay, but here's what I want to say though. We had the best conversation. You needed to compose yourself. I remember when we were like, guy walked out of the movie, you're like, I'll talk to you later. You had to like, we both were just like, I put my sunglasses on immediately, walked out, and then of course I'm trying to make jokes to calm everybody down. But I'll say this: this is not a conservative movie. This is not a liberal movie. This is a problem that has no political side whatsoever, and it should not. And the fact that people would try to politicize this as a conservative issue, F those people. They don't know what they're talking about. This is an issue that should be of importance to everyone on this planet, because when you see the end of this movie and it gives you the statistics that there are more people enslaved today ever than any time in history, all through this human trafficking issue that is not taken seriously at all, and not just in countries outside of the United States. I really think that they sort of lent it believability that it's like, well, this is happening like in another country where it doesn't affect us. Oh, it affects us. And it's just really important film. So if this is not a political issue, this is not a left or right issue at all. It's something that should be of concern to everybody. Alan, you got to go with your family, your wife and daughter. What did you guys think? What was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really stuck out to me the most was Jim Caviezel's impassioned speech at the end. If I were to take you all back to my church days, this was a big issue. My wife and I had been tangentially involved in this world of basically the rescue of sex trafficking children, and and the thing that spoke to me most about it was the fact that why is no one talking about this? And why is it a movie like this is the first thing I've seen in a very long time that takes this issue seriously and says that it's real. And here's just one of the ways in which children are being exploited. This is just a small glimpse into this very large world of sex trafficking, and we're seeing just a glimpse of it, and yet no one talks about it. The media doesn't talk about it. The news doesn't talk about it. And it's a guy like Tim Ballard who puts his life on the line and says, has that moral imperative of I've got to rescue children. That he just can't go on just getting the bad guys. He's got to save these kids. And to me, that's, as Paulie was saying, that's the motive. That's the cry of this movie is we as the average person needs to go out and do something about this and talk about it. And that's the whole point of the Pay It Forward is this is the first step. It's to get people to see this movie and show what's going on. And so, yeah, this movie is message based. There is a message here.
Sure.
And the message is everyone needs to know what's happening.
But
we're
Alan,
not even
I don't
talking
want
about how good the movie is. We're just talking
I was
about
just going to say, we don't want that to
yeah.
get lost because it's actually a very well-made film. It's a beautiful looking film. Reminds me of those 80s Jaffe films. Just some poetic shots. And then, of course, the cast was incredible.
Oh, God. The kids in the movie, the brother and sister are so good in this film, so believable and really young. I want to say there's a review on filmthreat.com. You can just look up Sound of Freedom. The official website, if you can just Google Sound of Freedom. I don't know, Alan, did you review it?
Yeah, I did review it. Okay, so if I were to take my emotionless film critic hat off or put it on, the movie's long. It's 2 hours 15. That's as long as The Little Mermaid. And there are basically two movies in this movie, and if there's a weakness, it's long.
Well, I'll say this: with all of that said, Alan gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Yeah. Alan, come on.
Everyone needs to see this movie.
Yeah, the pacing is a little slow at first, and like you said, that second part. We even talked about this. Almost becomes that kind of Taken-esque feel, they lay the trap. It got a little more actiony, but they laid the groundwork. They took their time, and the kid actor, the daughter. There were scenes where she didn't even have lines, and just the look on her face.
I mean,
it was so powerful.
That's what made people walk out. It is so heartbreaking at times.
Yeah, and guys, again, it's PG, correct?
PG-13.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
PG-13.
It's very tastefully done on a very horrible subject matter, if I can say that.
It never crosses the line. It never crosses the line.
Let me just make
then why aren't people talking about it?
Yeah, well, let me half answer that. Chad's talking about the left not wanting this to get out. I will tell you, this is a left and right issue. The left and the right don't want to talk about this. And believe me,
it's the media though.
Mm-hmm.
So there's even a story that just came out, right? It's not even 2 hours old. Sound of Freedom and Indiana Jones duke it out on holiday July 1st. Let me put this in the private chat so you can see it.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it is Deadline, and thank you, Deadline.
Well, I mean, yeah, this but it was my understanding is it was the #1 movie. I'll share it. Just give me a second here, folks. And real quick, Dante, do you have to? You're coming to my place, right? So we're going to see a movie tonight.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to take off pretty soon.
Okay, all right. Well, just we'll get to. But look, this movie, you need to see this film. This is an incredibly important film. It's the most important film I've seen this year for sure. A really great film to boot. I was curious how your daughter reacted, Alan.
Yeah, she it hit her too. I mean, she gave this a 10 out of 10. But in terms of, it's just This movie exposes you to a problem that's going on in the world, and a problem that is huge in the United States. Again, I don't want to get political here, but we are the consumer of this, the largest consumer of child sex trafficking, and again, we're not talking about it, and there are very powerful people who don't want us talking about it.
So the movie knocked up 10 million in pre-sales before the July 4th of July opening, and it looks to be the #1 movie, at least on that day. We'll see how it continues to perform, but 2,600 theaters is not a small release. Thanks for sharing that, Paulie.
Yeah, my theater was almost sold out. We were very lucky to get the tickets we got.
Well, we had to go, Paulie and I had to go to an earlier screening because the 4 o'clock was 100% sold out. Every single seat was sold out. So we saw the movie earlier that day because the later screenings were packed out. But the audience there at the end was silent, and you could hear sobbing here and there throughout the theater. And people walked out just, gutted from seeing it. But all I could say is this: 10 out of 10 for me. Strong recommendation. Go see Sound of Freedom. I will more than likely see it again and get those pay it forward tickets. Any other final thoughts, Alan and Paulie?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm getting it in the chat here. Yes, I know it is a global issue. I'm just saying the United States is the biggest purveyor of it.
Right. Yep. Okay, great. All right, thank you. Let's go to our chat comments and questions here. Let's
go see this movie.
Yeah. Let's go super chats first. John Thomas for 5. One of the few times I walked out of a movie was 8mm. Also disturbing subject matter. And I saw stuff as a cop. Well, wow, John. Thank you for your service. And I have heard other podcasts where people talk about child trafficking. The stories and the details are horrifying. It is a modern horror taking place right before our eyes. Razor Burn for 5. Question for Paulie: do you think we will ever see a Kalaman movie, Mexico's superhero? Paulie?
From Hollywood? No, not this current age.
What if Disney bought the rights, the international rights, and
they bought the rights?
No, what if they did?
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
But maybe independently, or maybe from Mexico. To come out of Mexico would be great.
Darth Racer 777 for 5. Sound of Freedom, very powerful film. Many politicians the world over will not like it, nor visitors to Epstein's Island. Interesting. Sound of Freedom is a must-see, says Pilgrim Media for 2. Thank you for that. We're gonna get to as many of these as we can. How can I watch Sound of Freedom, says Airsoft123. Google it. It's playing in theaters. Look up your local theater. It's at the AMC.
It's at Regal as well. Regal is
it's at Regal. Google and go to the official website. 2,600 screens. It's going to be playing near you. James Foster, Sound of Freedom beat Indiana Jones with 14 million versus 11 million on July 4th. Yes. My friend is an HAI agent who does this work. They are an incredible group, says James Ricciuti. Thank you, James. And please pass along to your friend. We appreciate his good work. And from Rumble Rant for 2, Movies America. It's good, but this movie is a very slow burn. I did like how they opened and closed the movie with the same image of the little girl. Felt symmetrical. Yeah, it's really powerful. HSI, not HAI, says James Ricciuti. Thank you for that. War Monkey, I felt the same thing just by hearing Jim talk about the movie in the interviews he's done. De-Subversion, Jim Caviezel is a solid actor. Glad he is highlighting this massive issue.
He comes he reminded me of John Reese from Person of Interest in the acting style. It's that good guy, that tough good guy, that tough angelic good guy.
Yeah. LK says they diverted very little from the actual story. It's very good. Imperfect says legacy media is becoming irrelevant. Word of mouth is driving ticket sales the last couple years. I would agree. Jose.
100%.
Mel Gibson did a video telling people to watch this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he didn't do one for The Flash. What does that say? Imperfect tinfoil hat Alan is my favorite Alan. Someone should make a video with Alan with a tinfoil hat. Tree surgeon, do they get into the people funding this trafficking? It's not a focus.
Kind of, but it stays a little, if you can say, safe in that it connects it to the Latin American cartel. You know, and
so it diverts away from
so they go to the obvious villain, right? The cartel.
Right.
Well, no, they go to the villain of this story. That's what I'm saying is this movie is just a small glimpse into this very big world of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, like these people did exist. They created a ring. They just all happened to be Latino. You know, one was a beauty queen. It was a real person, which was just mind blowing. And she would go and recruit kids to go and sing and audition.
Well,
man.
Yeah, I mean,
but we know. Yeah, but it alludes to the U.S. trafficking numbers just in what do you call the text at the end? Right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, a small part, because if you really want to get into internet child pornography, that's a whole other system of corruption and
technically, sorry, Alan. Technically, I don't know that you can say those words on YouTube.
Oh, I'm
without
sorry.
Getting, we're gonna get this video is probably gonna get dinged because of the subject matter we're talking about. You have to say CP. You have to use
CP.
the initial CP.
Okay.
Because you use those words, this video is probably going to get demonetized.
All right.
So for or against us for 20, for your time dedicated to the subject, I see a dim light at the end of this tunnel because of conversations like this. Thank you all.
Well, just the fact that we could get demonetized for talking about this tells you what.
I know. Isn't that sick?
What the problem is? I mean, it's just.
Yeah.
Why is no one talking about it? Because we'll get demonetized for it.
Lord Thoth, no, not just the United States. This is a global issue, Alan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imperfect says, Alan's daughter has a soul. Who knew? I'm shocked.
Whoa.
I've met Alan's daughter, and I'm not going to say I've hung out with her. She's been to events that we have been at with Alan, and she's an amazing young woman, far beyond her years.
Yes.
So,
and she's usually right. She's usually right about movies.
Yeah. I'll say this. If Alan's daughter wanted to be the editor-in-chief of Film Threat, there's a spot waiting for her. No. Aaron Taylor, Sound of Freedom started with 2 screenings at my cinema yesterday. It now has 15 screenings.
Wow.
Sell out.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Which Shucksy asks, which daughter?
Hi, Dad, I miss you.
Comments here. Imperfect says, I'll watch it in the privacy of my own home so I can cry in peace. They have not announced a VOD release for this movie yet. Douchey McDouche X says, saw it Monday to a packed theater and the audience applauded after Jim Caviezel's post-credit speech. Such a great heartfelt film. Hey, thank you for that. It's awesome. We've been hearing about this movie. By the way, they did not do any press screenings for this film. Alan and I both paid to see it yesterday, as well as Paulie.
Yep.
All just paid to see it like any movie we'd pay to see. But they did not do media screenings. And also, who cares? I'm going to see movies anyways. But
I should say technically we got screeners for it, but not a theatrical.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
I wanted to see it in a theater anyways.
Yeah.
There's certain movies where it's like I'll get a screener. It's like, okay, it's different if it's a small indie movie, if it's a big film. You know, I want to see it in a theater. Thank you to the mods for being here today. Lord Thoth, Mexican Iron Man, and Paulie from Latino Slant, and Ms. P. Coffee. Can't forget that. Jose, Elon is working with the studio to show the movie on Twitter later this month.
Yeah.
Okay, still go. You should still go see it in a theater.
Yeah, give it its money.
Yeah,
because it's also a different studio and distribution arm with Angel Studios that they do, nice movies, some faith-based, some are not, but they got their own slate of films.
Hey guys, I gotta cut out.
So. Oh, yeah. Hey,
all right, bro.
Dante, I'll see you soon.
Yes,
See
I'm
you soon,
actually
brother.
heading
Subscribe
that
to
way.
subscribe
Head
to
to my
Verbal
place.
Riot.
Yes,
Verbal
please
Riot
subscribe,
Show. Dante's
and
channel.
I will talk to you gents later.
Cool.
Later, brother.
Take care, Dante. See you soon.
Good seeing you.
That's really great news. Matthew Hammond. Hey, Matthew Hammond. Did I see you at the Nerdrotic Nooner today? I might have seen you. Matthew Hammond for $4.99. Could we get Jim Caviezel on Film Threat one Friday to discuss it?
Yeah,
Alan, do you have a contact?
Yeah. Oh, sure. We'll get him on.
No, you have a contact with them. I don't. So could you reach out to them? Matthew, we will ask. We will ask to get him on the show.
And
Okay.
I'm in pursuit of the director and producer as well. So,
Oh, by the way, go to Paulie's channel, the Latino Slant. He did an out of the theater review. His out of the theater reviews, a lot of time, I'm in the background. So if you're
yes, you are.
if you're a Film Threat fan, subscribe to Latino Slant because
Alan
I don't
makes an
know
appearance too.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who knows more about Latin cinema than you.
Latine
And-
cinema, sorry.
Oh God.
Is it Latine or Latinx? What are we
zip it.
doing this month?
Zip it.
See, what I have in common with the Latin community is everyone's trying to shove a vowel in my name. And
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so.
one day,
yeah.
one
there
day,
you
one
go.
mistake.
Alan
Hashtag
Ing.
stop Asian hate. Hashtag Supreme Court.
Well, just subscribe to Paulie's channel because
Yeah.
you get
How about that? I
How
love
about just-
film, and we cover a lot of stuff.
And you
we're
cover
trying to get to
different things than
10K.
we cover.
Really would appreciate all you guys to come on through. There you go.
Let's get Paulie to 10K. There's over 700 people watching. If you're not subscribed to Latino Slant, please subscribe to the channel. Pop that in the chat if you would, a link to Paulie's channel. But thank you, Matthew. We are going to work on that.
But
now that
Jim,
you ask,
but yeah, Jim on this would be an amazing interview.
I think he's really, first of all, based on seeing the film, knowing his work, and he is really intense. I don't know if I could hold it together.
Yeah.
Like he is intense. Patrick Lemire says
But
Alan's
also,
daughter's reviews are spot on.
Not her Raiders review.
But also too, as a leading man, you
Yeah.
know, from Romy to my mom, they like love him.
Well, you're gonna go see it again with Romy, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll work it out. She's out of town right now, but we're gonna see Mission Impossible. This is on the list. Yeah,
A lot of movies to see.
a lot
Some
of great
final-
films to see out there.
Final comments here. Tuco Benedicto says, super glad Jim Caviezel was given a chance to make another awesome film. The guy is incredible in every role he plays, and he's been blacklisted a bit. That is true and sad. Tumbleweed, Jim said in an interview that there will be a sequel to this film. It's about the second raid that was happening during the events happening in this film.
What?
Also, he announced Resurrection with Mel Gibson.
They've been announcing that one for a while.
Oh, Pilgrim Media for 2. Chris, YouTube is suppressing this topic. Well, it'll be interesting because we are going to clip the Sound of Freedom review and we're just going to release it as its own review.
Yeah. Just cut
Thank you, Pilgrim Media. Bob Garland, good art, especially film, can bring someone to tears. A hell of a review.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't get a better review than when Paulie cries during the review.
Well, listen, listen, just the subject matter is gonna make me emotional, but the execution cinematically, it did its job. And from Caviezel to the director to the young actors and to the music, I was deeply touched. I mean,
Yeah, I'm not saying
Alan
movies that connect with you emotionally are the great movies. You know, to make you feel at the end of a movie says you've done the movie right.
Yeah. Alan Horkin, Person of Interest was a good TV show starring Jim Caviezel, ahead of its time.
I love that show.
Jose says Jim Caviezel could be a great Batman and Batman Beyond movie. He has an intensity. I don't know why he hasn't been cast as a superhero. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Lord Thoth, that is why I love Paulie. His voice is so soothing when discussing tough topics. Everyone here needs to sub to the Latino Slant. The other thing I'll say, and I complimented you, this was like last week. I texted you. I'm like, dude, you did this interview with this director Castillo, who made this film. An amazing interview. So check out when Paulie does interviews, he does a deep dive. You know, we kind of cover it on Film Threat. We do the best we can with limited time. Paulie's interviews are amazing. Tumbleweed, Sound of Freedom was shelved by Disney. The studio took a year to buy back the rights from Disney. And 5-2 Super Chat here, Tim Ballard. Oh, sorry, Paulie. Yeah.
No, not like, because that's why I want to get the producer Eduardo Verástegui on the channel, because I want to know what did it take exactly to get this movie back. This isn't the first time I've heard of directors buying back from Disney, from Netflix, their films because they did not. It was either inactivity, or they didn't like the distribution deal and said no. And there was something in their option, their contract, where thank God they were allowed to buy back the films.
Final 2 comments here. Super chats. Meredith G for 199. Tim Ballard founded Operation Underground Railroad.
Yeah, by the way, Jim Caviezel did play a superhero.
Oh, in what?
In what? In this movie, basically.
Effectively, yes. No, I agree. Yeah. When you see how the beginning of the movie, how devastated he is by doing this job day in, day out, and he has a partner that just quits. It's like, I can't do this job anymore. He's so disturbed by what is happening in the world. It's crazy. Turd Ferguson for 199. Call it what it is. Child S abuse. We're trying to call it CP. They're words. They're literally words that are said.
Yeah.
That will get your channel demonetized and get your content demonetized. But yes, you can all read that.
Just know we want to read everything, guys, but we have to be very careful because this is YouTube's house at the end of the day.
So I don't know what's going to happen with this video. We should probably double check if we've been demonetized yet. Alan, can you go into YouTube Studio and check on this video? And last comment here from Matthew Hammond for 499. I want to know how Jim Caviezel is so believable in these types of roles in Person of Interest and this movie. Great actor. Also, I feel he genuinely, the speech that he gives at the end, that's not acting. That's Jim Caviezel.
What a speech.
Pouring out his heart and soul about this topic, and everyone should be concerned. This isn't a left or right issue. This is this is an issue affecting humanity. Whether you have kids or not doesn't matter. It's a very important issue.
You know what's so great about that speech, guys, was that he was almost answering our thoughts as he was talking. It was like, well, how do you know what I was thinking?
Yeah, it was. You're so devastated by the end of the movie. It was almost kind of soothing to have him come out and give some hope, because the whole point of this is to call attention to this. The whole point is to call attention, to have this movie seen, and the fact that it beat out Indiana Jones, good.
I mean,
Alan, did you?
Yeah, we're still good. We're still good.
We're still good.
And remember, guys, I'm sorry.
Oh no, go right ahead.
So remember, guys, that this is David and Goliath as well, as far as Sound of Freedom, making all this money in compared to Indiana Jones, which has almost 2,000 more, is in 2,000 more theater houses. The money per screen that Sound of Freedom made yesterday, I believe, was almost like $5,600 a screen. I mean, it's just insane, because that says something about the power of the moviegoer.
And I've got the thank you from you, Paulie. You put in I'm just going to put this up on the screen because it's a lot of numbers to read, but I'm just going to add this right now. Box office from boxofficereport.com. Angel Studios Sound of Freedom grossed $14.24 million on Tuesday from 2,634 locations, including Monday previews. The $14.24 million gross includes a traditional $11.5 mil. That's insane.
Right, because that's important to pay attention to that, because the Deadline and these other media streams are trying to make it, they had the churches and the alt-righters, raising the money, pay it forward. It's like, that's just a small crack. That was just so, that's
Plus,
it's
I mean,
funny.
I don't think they care about the bragging rights of who won, them or Indy.
Right.
If you get in this position where you care about what the media and what the public thinks about what you're doing, then you're doomed at that point. Get your message out, make your movie, get your message out.
Oh, I could tell they're going to be running Sound of Freedom stories every day now. Watch, because it's the hot thing to talk about.
Well, they're going to go after Ballard at some point. They're going to try to dig in and see where he lies and where
really
they're going to attack his character, and that's what they do.
Oh, I've heard they're already trying to do that. They're already trying to do that. So, all right, that wraps it up for us today. Hey, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, good movie. You should see it. I can't wait to see it again on Monday. We're going to watch it again next week. And Sound of Freedom will blow your mind. Don't miss it. Hey, Paulie, thank you so much for being on the show today, guesting. Appreciate it, brother. Always great hanging out. Alan, I love that you have such a great sense of humor about yourself. It's always fun to do reviews with you. I love not knowing what you're going to think about something. And Friday, we will be back with our Friday Film Threat Livecast. We're going to be talking about Joyride, which, by the way, do you know what the original title of that movie was?
Oh, I
know what it is.
Just think about it. What was it called?
The original title of Joyride was Joy Fuck Club.
Is that for real?
That was the original title.
Oh, that would have been a great title.
That's not real.
True.
It's an appropriate title.
It's totally describes the movie. We're going to talk about Joyride. We'll talk about the new Insidious. We're going to continue our Indiana Jones conversation. So be here Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, noon Eastern. Join Alan and I, and we'll be talking about the trial. I have a special guest coming on to discuss basically things that are happening in the Critics Court, Star Wars on trial. Something special is going to happen in the coming weeks. So that wraps it up for us. Thank you so much, Alan.
Let's get out of here.